All right, welcome to the Great Minds Podcast. This is Derrick.
This is Vaughn.
We got a very special guest, one of our favorite MCs, Skyzoo. What's good, my dude?
This is Skyler.
What's good, my friend? What's good?
What's the deal, y'all?
So a brief intro, if you don't know Skyzoo, master lyricist, creative genius, dope Brooklyn MC, and most importantly, a dope dad. So welcome to our Father's Day episode.
Yeah. How do I follow that up, man? Man, I appreciate that. Word up.
So I want to get a little bit into Dumbo Station first.
Mm-hmm.
I thought was a dope project because it was different, because a lot of MCs, like, you could do you got MCs that are gonna go with the boom bap and they're gonna get a soul sample and go in. So I think you kind of stepped out of the box with the jazz. I know you. I see you every Sunday, so I know you heavily jazz influence and all that.
Right.
So what made you want to do an album like this in this realm?
Yeah, well, with the Bluest Note, it's something I wanted to do for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Years and years, because like you said, everybody knows I'm a jazz head. Everybody knows how I feel about it. I listen to more jazz than hip hop, if we're being honest. In my spare time, I listen to hip hop, of course, because it's my love and it's my field of profession and the whole deal. But if I got a choice when I'm chilling, it's normally jazz. You know what I mean? So it's something it's an itch I wanted to scratch for a long time. Easily 10 years. I was like, yo, one day I'm going to do a project with a band. I don't know how it's going to go or what it's going to be, whatever. And then I met a gentleman by the name of Dom when I was on tour in Italy a couple years ago.
Okay.
Came to a show, said he was a big supporter, had been a supporter for a while, owns an independent label called Tough Kong based out of Italy, and he had a jazz band named Dumbo Station signed to him. I said, oh, man, word, okay, you talking my language. He was like, man, I got this idea. What if I, put together an album with the two of you guys? What if you and Dumbo Station did an album together, kind of Guru Jazzmatazz or The Roots, whatever. And I was like, that would be nuts, because I've been wanting to do that for a while, but it wasn't on the front of my radar. It was like something where, down the line, I'm going to do that. You know what I mean? And we built, and I said, yeah, send me a link so I could hear the band. And I heard the album, and it was great. They were wonderful. And I said, man, let's do it. So we carved out some time last summer, summer 2019. It was June 2019. So Retropolitan wasn't even out yet. It was being mixed and mastered and all that. The artwork was getting done. And I was already in Italy working on another project. You know what I mean? So I was just kind of rolling. And that's how that all came together.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that too, because basically, like, following you, the whole jazz flow, you kind of got me into jazz. When I was younger, Jazzmatazz with Guru, right?
Yeah.
So basically, I couldn't really follow it. My uncle loved it, but I couldn't really get with it. Being like 8 to 10, I didn't really understand it.
Right.
But you're like a new version of that to me. So I think you're putting a lot of people onto that.
Thank you, man.
That whole feel.
Yeah, it's just
dope.
And the thing about it too, of course, with the album, I'm gonna benefit from that. But when I do my Sunday morning jazz, I don't get any benefit out of it. I'm not getting paid off that. Spotify's not cutting me a check for putting other people's records on a playlist. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm literally, just doing it for the love. For people like you who was like, yo, I never really rocked with jazz until you started pumping it. Now I'm into it. Now I get it. Now I understand. I'm literally doing it because I'm a fan and I'm just pushing it forward,
Wow.
That's dope.
Now, did you choose to do an EP? Was it like a time constraint, or you just wanted to?
Yeah. It was more of a timing thing. I had just came off Retropolitan, so I didn't really want to write a whole nother album. Plus, I knew I was going to drop a full-length album this year, which is All the Brilliant Things coming out later this year. So I knew I didn't want to have 2 full-length albums in 1 year.
Okay.
Like, I'm down with an EP and an album. I'm down with 2 EPs and an album, or a mixtape and an EP. But I didn't want to do 2 full-length albums in the same calendar year. You know what I mean? Just me personally. But I knew it was coming out this year, and I knew All the Brilliant Things is going to come out later this year. So I knew the window I had. And time-wise, I went to Italy for a week. I was out there 7 days, and we did the whole thing in 7 days. Really 6 days, because we took a day off. It was like a Sunday. I think we did a photo shoot, and we just chilled the rest of the day and was cooling out, drinking Aperol Spritz, it's this Italian. Cooling out, you know what I'm saying? Just enjoying a little bit, you know, just taking the pause, you know what I mean? So we did it in 6 days, you know, and everything was on the spot, producing the album with them on the spot. The thing about it, all of the beats were made in front of me, right? Like, it wasn't, they made beats and sent them to me and I picked them, and then when we got there, it wasn't that. Like, it was us making these beats together, and I co-wrote a lot of the arrangements. So I would go to the bass player and go, doom, 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 like whatever. I would, you know, come up with an arrangement and tell the bass player, and he would do it. Then I'll go to the drummer, let's do this. And he would do it. Then I'll go to my man on the keys, yo, what if we did this? And then he would do it. You know, it was kind of like a Quincy Jones thing. So by all means, they did all the work. They're phenomenal. I co-wrote a lot of the arrangements on the whole album, and I'm very proud of that because it's something I always wanted to do, tap into my musical side as opposed to just the writing, but I never had the chance to, so it was dope.
Yeah, and that vibe is dope to be in an actual studio with someone to make a record. I think it's a different feel than 100%. If you send a link over. You know, you can really vibe with that. That's definitely dope.
And real quick before we get into the milestones on Give and Take, did you change your mind and get into Game of Thrones? Because I heard in this song you don't watch Game of Thrones.
Nope.
Wow.
I don't watch that.
You leave that.
Leave that alone.
Leave that to the wife, right?
Yeah, you know, I'm not a fan of like wizardry and you know what I'm saying, mythical, magical. That's just me personally. It's no knock. I know millions of people are, but I like stuff that's real. I don't know if we could curse, but I like stuff that's real.
Yeah, of course.
I like shit that's real. You know what I'm saying? Like, that could really happen. You know what I mean?
It's funny. I felt the same way about it, and then I started watching, and it changed my mind.
Oh, man. Yeah, I gave you Jazz. Maybe you'll give me Game of Thrones. Maybe. I don't know. I'm so anti, you know, ghouls and wizards and my magic. Since a kid, I ain't work with none of that. I'm like, stupid. But I respect everybody who's on it.
And I'm gonna say that's the only show like that I watch. Word. So I'm with you 99% of the time, but Game of Thrones is different. But I digress. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna get into the Father's Day EP Milestones. One thing I always liked about your work, and I actually started getting to your music around the Great Debaters. We all 80s babies, so you know you had the Great Debaters, which like the cover itself, like yo, who didn't love the Cosbys? So that alone, and then you hear
who would make that they cover for their tape.
Exactly.
I remember when I did it, and people around me was like, yo, that. Like, before it came out, just people who I know was like, yo, what's the science behind that? Like, why that? When I broke it down, it was like, oh, that's kind of genius. Like, you know what I mean? So,
well, even that, and then like the Theo versus JJ, which I took as the haves and the have-nots. I mean, I could be off.
No, it's absolutely what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
So when I saw the cover with Lawrence Fishburne and Trey,
Furious
Styles, and then I heard the single you dropped. I'm like, you know what? Lawrence Fishburne was the only father on Boys in the Hood. So I'm wondering, did you do that to honor your pops?
Yeah. So the project is about fatherhood, right? Yep. And the whole EP, every song is about fatherhood. It's not like, okay, a couple of records is about fatherhood, but this record I'm kind of just spitting a couple crazy 16s, and this record every record is about fatherhood. Every record is a story. It's my story, my relationship with my dad, and then my relationship with my son. And he's only 2.5, so that relationship is new. You know what I mean? So it's me being in the middle and taking what I got here and putting it here, you know, passing the baton type thing and being the middleman. So the whole thing is about my dad and I and my mom's, of course, you know, and all that stuff in the relationship and everything and how that worked out. I mentioned it a little bit on the single, you know, even when him and my moms were saying all their goodbyes, like the fact that my parents wasn't together, you know what I mean? But they still was with me every day, one way or another. So the project is about fatherhood 100%. So it's dedicated to my dad, but also my son and also you guys, everybody who's a father, everybody who, you know, got a father or, you know, had a father or didn't know their father or grew up with their father every day or all that.
Yeah.
Any type of fatherhood, it's for that.
And I think it's dope. I think when we grew up and, you know, the rappers that we listened to in the 90s or late 80s or whatever the case is, it was almost, I mean, sad to say, it was a surprise to even hear somebody rap about fathers in a song in a positive way.
Yep.
You know,
that's why I made the project.
Yeah, so I think that's dope. I think it's a dope lane. All my friends are dope fathers, so you know we're trying to get rid of that narrative.
Exactly. That's exactly why I made the tape. You know, not to cut you off, but just to like delve into that a little bit. You kind of hit the nail on the head. You know what I mean? Like, I was looking at the landscape. The way the project came about, it started with the one record, with A Song for Fathers. That was the first record I did for the project.
Okay.
It wasn't going to be a project. It was just one record.
Mm-hmm.
I had this idea to chop this joint and make a record, a hip-hop anthem for fatherhood. And, of course, you got Will Smith, just the two of us. You got Nas, daughters. There's a few here and there. But most of the records about dads in hip-hop are My Father Sucked, Be a Father to Your Child, Father Was Never There, you know, My Biological Didn't Bother, you know, all that type of stuff. Here's the deal. If that's your truth, live in it by all means. Like, I respect the hell out of that. Because 9 out of 10 of my friends grew up the same way. They didn't have a dad, which is what I talk about on the project. But I feel like that can't be the only story for fatherhood hip-hop. Like, you guys as fathers, and you love hip-hop. Why is nobody talking to y'all?
Yeah.
You know, there's a million records about motherhood, which is beautiful because we all come from our mother. We call our mother the earth because life grows from the mother, like the earth. You know what I mean? So, you know, you call your mom's earth, your old earth, whatever. Can't ever replace that. You know what I mean? Motherhood is everything. But I just wanted to throw a little light on fatherhood because we don't get it, especially in hip-hop. You know what I mean? Yep. A million mama records in hip-hop and R&B, but on Father's Day, it's like 2 or 3 records to play. You know, and I wanted to do something about that. So I just made the one record. And then when I made A Song for Fathers, I was so excited about the way it came out. I said, man, I think I got a couple more in me. And it just turned into this project that grew a life of its own. And then when you hear it, it's a story. So track 1 and track 7, everything is a story of me growing up with my dad, and then becoming a dad. You know what I mean? So it's this whole trajectory, you know, and it's on purpose.
So to piggyback off of that, so I suppose the A Song for Fathers is the lead single because that was the first song that you worked on. So I was going to also add that the reason why I think that you're so dope, and I love theme-based albums. That's just how I always felt growing up as a kid. You know, you look at any albums that I really loved, they had a theme. And I think when you touch on the theme, it has a vibe to it and it flows. So I can't wait to hear this album because I'm pretty sure every album I've heard from you, you know, from the Great Debates, even before that, it all flowed. And
the whole thing is one story. So it's like watching a movie. You know what I mean?
It's dope.
It's dope. This is a 2-part question. How has fatherhood changed you as a rapper, and are you more considerate about what you put out since you had your son?
The first part of that question, I mean, it's been amazing, you know, being a dad. The way it's changed me as an artist, I feel like the answer for one kind of leads into the answer for the second one. The way it's changed me, being cognizant of what I write. Now, granted, my music has always been a certain way. You know, my music isn't, you know, I don't want to name rappers and feel like I'm shitting on them, but my music was never
bang, bang, shoot 'em up.
The nonsense or whatever, or the lean and the pills. And now, damn, I got a son. He gonna listen to my shit in 15 years and want to go get a bottle of lean. My music was never that. So my son could listen to all my music from way back on. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool, you know? But I am cognizant of what I'm doing, what I'm saying, you know, what I'm leaving behind, because he is going to want to hear it all. He's going to be super interested that his dad was a rapper. You know what I mean? And you know, because by the time he's comprehending that stuff in high school and really digging it, I'm not going to be rapping no more. I ain't going to be no 60-something-year-old rapper. Like, that's not happening. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to be done retired, jersey in the rafters or whatever, and he's going to dig into all that stuff. So go for it. You know what I mean? But it's definitely changed me as an artist in the sense of the work ethic. It makes you want to work more, but it's harder to work. You know what I mean? It is harder to work, you know.
Absolutely.
He's ripping and running. If he was 15, this would be a breeze. Because he out running around with some girl or running around with his friends or playing ball or, you know what I'm saying, whatever. It's stuff you do when you're 15. You 2.5, he's everywhere. You know what I mean? So I can't sit here and write and do whatever because he's all over the place, as a 2.5-year-old is. You know, I got the set up in the crib, and I was recording last night, and I give him his iPad. I'm like, all right, Miles.
That's the go-to, brother.
That's the go-to.
Oh, yeah. He's doing it right now because I got the interview. So I'm like, all right, buddy, iPad time. You know what I mean? And he loves it, and he navigates it better than I can, you know. But I had him in the basement with me. I was like, all right, buddy, iPad time. Give me 10 minutes. Let me do this verse real quick. Turn the iPad down a little bit. You know what I mean? Just those little things. You know, he's watching Puppy Dog Pals on his iPad, and I'm in here doing the verse. You know what I mean? So just it's harder to work, but I don't care. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Good. It's great. It's great that we all know that you're from the Star.
Yeah.
You know, so I basically was thinking just in general, I have friends that live in Brooklyn and a few friends that lived in the Star, and they were saying how it's changing. You know, how everything's changing about that as far as gentrification. Yeah. So I wanted to see how you feel about that, because I know in your music you talk about you're very socially conscious with certain things you say.
Yeah.
You know what's going on. So how you feel about what's going on out there right now in Brooklyn in general, or just in the world?
Yeah, it's crazy that you brought that up, because my next album, you know, the full-length album, All the Brilliant Things, is solely about gentrification. You know, it's another concept album, but it's a full length. So 12, 14 songs, whatever it's going to be. The whole thing's about gentrification from A to Z. You know what I mean? So it's just, you know, tapping into this with you where, it's just, I mean, it's heartbreaking, you know? It's heartbreaking. I was working on a record today for the album, talking about all this. It's heartbreaking, man. The thing about gentrification, I've been saying this since working on Retropolitan, because I sprinkled a little bit of it on Retropolitan. People thought it was a gentrification album. You know, all the write-ups was like, yeah, big talk on gentrification. That I'm like, I ain't say much of nothing yet. Wait till y'all hear this next album. Y'all want to, you know, find me like, man, we loved you. You want us out of Brooklyn? You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at with it on this one. But, you know, the thing about it that I've always said was I have no problem with other people moving in the neighborhood, right? Whether you look like us or you don't. I have no problem with other people moving in the neighborhood, enjoying the neighborhood, being a part of it, becoming part of the family, because it's a family. You know, my block growing up, my hood was like Crooklyn. My hood was like, do the right thing. Like, that was my hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody knew everybody. It was all love. You knew who was doing this. You knew who was doing that. Everybody had their little quirks, but you understood it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a dude on my block. He would always call himself washing my truck. But he would be out there with a dry towel. And he'd be like, yo, you know, he was a little, you know, whatever. Yeah. He'd be like, yo, Sky, I washed the truck. Can I get $20? I'm like, bro, you had a dry towel. You know what I'm saying? But like, every day I look out the window and he rubbing my truck with the dry towel. What, I'm going to call the cops on? Nah, you've been on the block forever. I'm not going to call the cops. I'm just going to crack a joke with him and maybe give him $10 and be like, all right, man, nah, you got me today. I ain't give you no more money till next week. That's just neighborhood shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what it is.
Character in the community. You know what I mean? So if you can appreciate and respect all those things, you're more than welcome. You know what I'm saying? You're more than welcome to be in the neighborhood. But the problem is, and not to be long-winded, the problem is when these people, whether they look like you and I or not, the problem is when they start trying to take over the neighborhood and act like you don't belong, act like you're out of place or try to make you feel out of place, call the cops and all these different things on you when things were the way they were before that. We having a block party in the middle of July on a Saturday. We supposed to do that. It's the summer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying 7 days a week, because I don't want to hear that 7 days a week.
Yeah.
One Saturday in July and one Saturday in August, I'm all for that. I'll be right out there with a red cup of Henny. I'm all for it. Let's go. Yeah. Somebody's on the grill in front of their building, in front of the stoop. I'll take a piece of that. Somebody going to the store for a Heineken run. Bro, here go $5. Get me a cup. I'm all for it. You know what I mean? That's how we grew up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So don't go calling the cops on the same culture that you wanted to move here for. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. Like, you know, people move into the neighborhood and try to take over. You know, I know some new people that came to the neighborhood and they cool. You know what I mean? They don't look like us, but they mad cool. There's a dude next door. You know, his dog looked just like my dog, and the dog walker walk them together. Duke is mad cool. Follow each other on the gram. He's awesome. He don't look, he's awesome. I like Duke. You know what I mean? But like, everybody not like him. You know what I mean? A lot of them is, I'm walking my dog, you walking yours or whatever, and you just walk by and I nod. I'm like, how you doing? Because I got manners. How you doing? And you just act like I didn't say nothing. Now we got a problem, lady. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. You know, they come in and try to take over the neighborhood and not respect what it is and, you know, want to exploit it. But they want to say, oh, I live in Bed-Stuy and da-da-da. But then they don't want nothing to do with the Stuy.
For real.
Their way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my problem with it, you know?
Okay.
Hear you. No doubt.
In general, what's your musical process? How do you decide who you want to lock in with? Because I know a lot of times you do the albums. I know you did the joint with Apollo Brown, which is my favorite album. I actually had, I don't know if you remember, I had that in my top 20 albums ever, actually.
Yeah,
I had it in there. And a lot of people were like, because when we did our list, like we did 20 favorite albums. Like, we weren't influenced by, like, you know, this goes here, this go that. So a lot of people who weren't familiar with your music thought I was bugging. So, but I did put a couple people on. They were like, all right, so, dude is nice. I'm like, yeah. I ain't just pick them out of a hat. But how do you decide who you want to lock in with? Like, I know you did the Pete Rock. I know you did Apollo Brown. You got Illmind on a couple joints on this one.
Illmind did an album. Actually, our album this October is going to be 10 years for me and Illmind's album, Live from Tape Deck. Yeah, well, you know, as far as doing whole albums, I just think about people that, you know, I'm a fan of course, you know, a fan of their production and all that. And they're a fan of me. You know, it can't be, you know, one way, you know, because the chemistry got to be there. So
it's got to be authentic.
Yeah, it can't be where I think you great and you think I'm whatever. Like that, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Like, we both got to believe each other's great. And people that I know personally, like I knew Apollo, I knew Illmind for years before we did that. You know what I mean? Like, Illmind is my musical brother. You know what I mean? Like, sleep at each other's house if needed. Yo, let me crash on the couch. Da-da-da, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Like, that's my musical brother. You know what I mean? So, you know, stuff like that. But when it comes to working on albums with various producers, like, you know, Milestones and new joint I'm getting ready to drop and Celebration of Us and all that stuff, it's just the sound I'm looking for. Whatever sound I'm looking for, whatever grabs me. You know what I mean? It's not about the name. It's not, yo, I got to get so-and-so and so-and-so. Nah, like, it's cool for that because it's ill to promote it and market it. Yo, he got, you know, so-and-so and so-and-so and so. Damn, word, go get it. You know, that's great. But I did that, and I'll continue to do that if it makes sense. You know, like if I get a beat from whoever, and, you know, me and Just Blaze worked before. If I get another beat from Just Blaze, absolutely, that's amazing. But I don't feel like my album took a L because I didn't get a Just Blaze joint this go around. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I'll get beats from y'all, and if they make sense, it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, like, you know, perfect example. On Milestones, the first track, Memory Serves Me, is produced by this dude, First Official. My man sent me a link to First Official's Instagram page. He made a beat and put it on his page with a picture of me, and it said Skyzoo type beat. The beat was crazy. I was like, yo, that is a Skyzoo type beat. Like,
you nailed it.
You do that on YouTube or the gram, and they don't beat. I'm like, that's not a Skyzoo type beat. You know what I mean? Like, but I appreciate you making a beat and thinking of me and putting that effort in because that means you think highly of me. Cool.
Word.
But this one, I was like, yo, that is a Skyzoo type beat. So me and Son started DMing, and then, you know, we built, and he sent me some beats. He got the opening joint on the tape. You know what I mean? So, like,
huge, yeah.
I don't care about the name. I just care about the heat. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about the name. Like, if it's heat and it fits what I'm trying to do, I'm with it.
Word. Cool. I was going to ask about that process, but just in general, your rhyming pattern and style is insane to me. You know, I always said that, just the way you put words together in your flow pattern. Like, how did you, I know it takes time to get that. You know what I mean? I know it's like practice, but how did you get time to perfect that? How did you go about that?
It's just time, like you said. You know, I'm 37. I'll be 38 in December. Started rhyming when I was 9. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been rhyming forever. You know, it's like if LeBron started playing ball when he was 9 and he's 36 now or whatever, it's like you've been dribbling and shooting the ball forever. You know what I mean? Like, this is a walk of life. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with me. Like, it's a walk of life. You know what I mean? Like, all right, let's go. Well, it doesn't mean I don't love it. It doesn't mean I don't appreciate it. It doesn't mean I devalue it. Not at all. It just means I know how to do this the same way I know how to pick up a fork Or the same way I know how to walk down the street.
Or
I've been doing it forever. You know what I mean? Like 90% of my life I've been rapping.
Based
Whether it was professionally or not, you know what I mean? Like
still doing
that's
it.
the best way to describe it.
Based like a master class. I like to say that when people that get in their pocket, you can just tell. There's a few MCs that like that. You can just tell how they flow. It's like it's comfortable. It's like it's a cocky confidence, but not in a bad way.
Right.
You know, it's like I can tiptoe on any beat, pretty much. Like whatever you want to do, I can tiptoe on.
And you know, that comes from studying also. You know what I mean? Like I'm very big on studying the greats and the guys that I grew up listening to, the Biggies, Jays, Nas's, Genius, Raekwon, Scarface, Black Thought, Mos Def, Qua, you know, Mace, Jadakiss, The Lox, all that. You know what I mean? Like these are all guys I've been listening to forever and I still listen to. So I'm studying, you know what I mean? Again, it's like Bron watching Jordan highlights on YouTube. Is you studying, you know what I mean? So a lot of that is that too. And somebody told me recently, they was like, man, your flow is like a trumpet. Like when you find the pocket. And I thought that was ill because I never set out to do that. But it makes sense that I do that because I listen to so much jazz. You know what I mean? And I find the pocket and the trumpet is my favorite instrument. Somebody said it somewhere, somebody in a review or something. And I thought that was real cool. It was like, yo, your flow is like a trumpet, man. The way you
and that's subconsciously too.
Yeah, and I was like, yo, that's dope. So now, without even realizing it, I'll record a record, I'll write a record and record it. And then when I'm listening back or I'm going over the flow before I go in the booth, I see it. And I'm like, oh, there go that trumpet shit again. You know what I mean? Without even knowing I was doing it. You know what I mean?
Word up.
All right, so we just want to transition to some sports real quick. Everybody we have on the show, whether it's a dentist, a rapper, or whoever, we got to cover sports. I know you're a big Knicks fan.
They're making it difficult.
Yeah, I know it. So with that being said, where do you, and I know growing up watching it, you couldn't have been an MJ fan.
I was because of just how great he was. Because the thing about, you know, and not to cut you off, because I want you to finish the question, but when you're a kid, you follow the player. You know what I mean? When you're an adult, you follow the team.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a kid, your favorite player is so-and-so. He get traded now. You rocking with them. You, mommy, I need a so-and-so hat. I thought you was a no-such fan. Yeah, but I need that hat now. You know what I mean? Like, when you're a kid, you follow the player. You know what I mean? I rocked with Mike. You know, he broke our hearts all the time with the Knicks, but I rocked with Mike, of course.
Where do you fall on this GOAT debate?
Oh, it's Mike.
Oh, okay.
Without a doubt. Yeah, and that's not a slight on nobody else.
No,
like,
not at all.
Yeah, that's like, you know, like, nah, it's Mike. I'm trying to think of a comparison, and I can't, but it's Mike, without a doubt. You know?
And you know what it is, too? We're all from the same generation, too. So we know what it is, though. So when anybody that's in our generation says something different, I look at them sideways.
Right.
So, like, you already know what's going on. It has to be something behind why you don't like them. Or why
what did you watch? What did you watch?
Like, you know, we seen what it was. Right. Like, we know.
No, it's Mike 100%. And granted, I love, you know, I mean, that's a Magic Johnson joint right there. That's a Penny joint right there. Everybody know Penny was my favorite player as a kid, you know what I mean? But Mike is the GOAT, you know what I'm saying? I could say one dude is my favorite, but no, another dude is the GOAT. That's
like Kobe's my favorite, but I mean.
Right. And Kobe's amazing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kobe was the only person close to Mike.
Exactly.
The way he played, the way he walked, even his voice. Like, he was the closest to Mike, you know what I mean?
And that's why at first, that's why I didn't like Kobe growing up. When I was about 14, when he first came into the league, 96, right?
Yep.
Yeah, 96. I was 14, 15. Couldn't stand it. Like, yo, he's trying to be like Mike. But then as I got older and realized, like, yo, that's a compliment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And then so many people was fed to us as, yo, this one's the new Mike. Same thing they do now with Bron. You know, they said Andrew Wiggins was Bron. They said, this is all right. You know what I mean? But, you know, well, Mike, I remember they said Grant Hill. They said J.R. Ryder. They said
Carolina.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody was Mike. You know what I mean? And then this one kid came who nobody was calling Mike because he was the 13th pick.
Yeah.
It was Mike.
Yeah.
That's him right there. You know what I mean?
All right. So the way we end every show, we do a rapid fire.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically we give you two choices. You get a couple seconds to answer. The questions are meant to be tough. You might be jammed up on some of them, but you got to pick your answers and live with it. Ready to go?
This is that type thing, right?
Yep. This or that. All right. The first one, Juice or Menace to Society?
Juice is so New York.
Yep.
Menace is Menace, man. That's rough. Oh, man. I don't know, man. Oh, man. I'm going to edge it to Juice because it's New York. But
Tiebreaker goes home.
Menace is perfect, man. I know every word of that by heart.
Facts.
We do too.
We do too.
Every word of
Mimic that joint.
Yeah, we used to mimic that joint. All right, go ahead.
All right. Do the Right Thing or More Better Blues.
Do the Right Thing, but it's close because those are both in my top 3 movies all time. It's Do the Right Thing, More Better Blues, and Goodfellas.
Okay.
In no particular order because you just can't. You know what I mean? But Do the Right Thing between the two.
All right, so I'm a huge Wire fan. I know you're a huge Wire fan, right? So I'm not gonna go with the typical question, but I will say, who's a better muscle, Chris or Weebay?
Chris, because he's more subtle.
Yeah, he's smart too.
Weebay is it, and Weebay feared nobody. But you knew what it was with Weebay. You know what I mean? Chris was like, they made him be kind of weird, where you didn't know what was happening. Like, I mean, he goes in the convenience store and helps the lady, with the bag of chips who's delivering, the delivery lady. She just thinks he's some nice guy with a uniform on, and bang, he gives it to her. You know what I mean? Like, he was so cold and unassuming at the same time, if that's even possible. You know what I mean? The
only time he showed any type of passion was when he beat up Mike's.
The Butchie. Oh, no. When you got Mike's stepfather.
Yeah, when he pistol whipped him. That was the only time. And
he showed emotion with that. He went hard on Butchie, too, when Butchie wouldn't give Omar.
Oh, when it.
Yeah, he went hard on Butchie.
Butchie was a soldier, man.
Yeah, he was.
That was the OG right there. All right, go ahead, boy.
All right. Rod Strickland or Mark Jackson?
Rod with the handle for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was sick with the pill.
Yeah, Mark might have been a better all-around player. He was Rookie of the Year.
Had that post game.
Remember,
Rod had magic, man. Like, not magic, but
yeah. His hand was
magic in his hands. You could. I don't know. This is awful, man. Put me down for Mark Jackson.
All right.
Put me down for Mark Jackson.
All right. I got one more. The Great Debaters or Theo versus JJ.
Wow. The Great Debater is a longer tape. It's 16 records as opposed to 12 on Theo versus JJ. Really 10 because it's 2 skits. There's so much significance in Theo versus JJ, but I'm not gonna say it was better because you love all your kids the same, but I might go Great Debater, man. The thing about Great Debater, and I'll get into it more next year, so y'all will get it a year out, but I'll go into it more next year for the 10-year anniversary. Great Debater, man, when I did that, Wiz did Cushion OJ, Drake did So Far Gone, Crit had a tape, I forgot the name of it. It was an era, 2009, 2010, 2011, it was an era where every artist, to get hot, you had to do a mixtape, because it was the mixtape era and all that, but the mixtape game had changed to original songs.
Yep.
It went from the G-Unit days of a bunch of freestyles and a couple of original songs, which I had done all that. It changed to, you had to make an original tape, all original music, maybe some dope features if you could get them, dope production, big name producers, whatever. It had to be an album, but you had to pump it like a mixtape. It was free because it was on Rapid Share and, all that. It was through Too Dope and Nah Right and all those sites or whatever. And it had to feel like an album. The artwork, the movement, if you was lucky, you linked up with a clothing line, like 10 Deep or Rocksmith or whatever. Everybody, Cuddy had a big tape. Everybody had a big tape to take off with. So I was like, I remember going to Illmind one day. This was Illmind used to live up the block. And I used to be at his crib every day. He lived 30 seconds away. And I went to his crib one day and I was like, bro, I want to do a big ass tape. I want to do a big ass tape and just go ballistic. He was like, all right, word. Like, yeah, I'm down. So Illmind kind of became my engineer. You know what I mean? A lot of records he didn't even produce, I was recording him at his crib. He was mixing them. He was getting the stems from the producers and mixing them and all that. He mixed and mastered The Great Debater. I recorded, mixed and mastered that whole thing at Illmind's house. He did the whole thing. So The Great Debater was special, man, because I just remember that whole process. You know what I mean? And I was like, I want to make a big ass tape. I want to make one big ass tape. And that was it, The Great Debater. From the artwork, you know, Naturel did the artwork. And this was like right before he really went crazy with all, you know, his movement and all that. It was like right before it. I was kind of one of the first ones, you know, getting with him on that. And Naturel did the art, and, you know, Meezy did the joint. There was a bunch of dope producers on it, videos, and it felt like an album. You know, like I was saying a couple weeks ago for the anniversary, it's like, yo, people was calling it the album. Yo, the artists, I can't say who, but the artists who came to me, who are artists that are at the top of the food chain, looked at as, you know, the greatest things, new generation, whatever. Those guys was coming to me like, yo, bro, The Great Debater was it for me. I was listening to The Great Debater when I was writing my tape, when I was writing my album. I was listening to Great Debater on the tour bus, all of us. Yo, The Great Debater was everything, bro. Like, yo, that was it. For me, Great Debater. Like, guys who, you know, the world would be like, word? Like, yo, The Great Debater, it pushed me. It made me want to write better. It made me feel like I needed to go harder. The Great Debater was it. So it's just a special joint. You know what I mean? I remember what I was doing in 2011. And I remember when it dropped, I said it on a freestyle on the Penny series too. I remember when it dropped, Sean Price called me. Shout out to my brother, rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace.
He called me and was like, yo, this Great Debater shit is sick, Slime. This shit is sick. He was like, yo, it sound like you mad. And I was like, word? He was like, yeah, I love it. So I said on Penny Freestyle Series, you know, Great Debater took 30 days to come up with. Sean Price said it sound like you mad, and Sky, I love it. Like, because that's what he said. He called me, was like, yo, it sound like you mad on this, B. I know you be doing your Kanye shit. Because they used to call me the Kanye of Duck Down. That's what like he and Tech and them would say, and Rock, and he'd be like, yo, Sky's like the Kanye of Duck Down. We be doing this Duck Down boot camp, you know, Bucktown shit, and Sky come in with trumpets, and, you know what I mean, saxophones and strings, and Jill Scott and Spike Lee. So they was like, yo, you the Kanye of Duck Down. So P was like, I know you be on your Kanye shit. He was like, yo, this one sound like you mad, Slime. And he was like, I love it. You know what I mean? So, and I did it in 30 days. I did it in a month. Yeah,
I was listening to Written in the Drums yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
That's my joint on there. Yep. All right, Vaughn, you got one more?
Yeah, one more. So I probably know the answer to this, but I'm going to say it out anyway. Louis Armstrong or Miles Davis?
Oh, Miles Davis.
No, I knew the answer to that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I was like, you know, I figured that.
Without a doubt. And I mean, Louis is amazing. Louis, you know, raised Miles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, Miles, without a doubt.
No doubt.
All right. Well, make sure y'all check out Skyzoo's EP, Milestones. Salute to Dope Dads. Salute to you for creating this lane for people or the fellas that's doing what they need to do, man. Greatly appreciate
that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate y'all. Good luck on the time. Good luck on the love. I'm glad we was able to do it, man. It was a blast. I had a good time. And, Milestones right now. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. So check us out on IG at The Great Minds Podcast, on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, YouTube, all that. Peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.